Well, good morning. This is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. I'm really glad you could join me today. It's a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania, Zone 6, and what I wanted to share with you some tips and ideas on how to direct sow your carrots in your vegetable garden. So I'm really glad you could join me today. So let's talk about soil temperature. Different vegetables require different soil temperatures. Lettuce and kale, they can require cooler temperatures. But what I have here in front of me is a horticulture chart. It's soil temperature conditions for vegetable seed germination. This was I just got this online. You could Google this. I got it from Alabama Cooperative Extension System, and it gives you soil temperatures, when you should plant your seeds. And so, for instance, here under carrots it says minimum temperature in your soil is 40 degrees, optimum range is 45 to 85. And if you've watched some of my other videos, I use my meat thermometer that I typically used to use in my kitchen. I use that now out in my vegetable garden to check soil temperature. And so right now our soil's around 50 degrees, so it's really optimum temperature for growing or starting your seeds outdoors. And then also, if you go to Johnny Selected Seed online, they have a succession planting interval chart for vegetables. And so, for instance, here gives you some more information. For instance, you don't want to plant all your greens at one time, otherwise you'll have an overload of greens coming in. So you want to plant them in succession at different intervals. And so here it talks about carrots, gives you a 21-day intervals. And it says plant your carrots early spring through mid-July, and plant storage types in mid-July only. And so, that's really some helpful information you really want to learn about, especially if you're new to garden. Learning that type of information really helps it take all the fears and worries and intimidations out of gardening. So knowing your soil temperatures outdoors is really important when you direct sow in your garden. And then, what I'm going to be planting here is the Imperator. It's the type of carrot. They also have Danvers half long, which is 6 to 8 inches. This Imperator grows up to like 9-10 inches long, a longer carrot. So, as with any carrot, the soil, you really want to make sure it's loose. You can even maybe add some builder sand to it if you had to. And but you want to make sure it's a good loose depth up to 12 inches. Excuse me. I'm going to be planting these in my garden compost. And so it's, nice and loose. I work it through with my garden fork. And so let's just take a second too, and behind the pack they always do give you a little bit of helpful information for planting. And so here it talks about garden tip. It says to provide a continuous supply of carrots, sow seeds every 2 to 3 weeks. To produce carrots in the fall, sow seeds in mid-summer. And then it tells you here a planting depth of 1/4 to 1/2 inch and thin to 2 to 4 inches. And then it says require full sun. And then I'm also going to be planting these rows about 12 inches apart. And so that's really some helpful information you'll want to check out before you plant anything. Take the time to search it out. And we always emphasize here at Plant Smart Living, smart thinking. And so take your time and do a lot of research on what project you're going to do, and it really helps things flow a lot easier. And so what we're going to do next is I'm going to fork up some of the soil, loosen it up and rake it over, prepare the bed, and then we're going to plant the seeds. So what I'm going to do is take my garden fork. It's a very handy tool to have here in the garden, and just work it back and forth up and down your rows. Get that soil nice and loose. You want to be able to have that fork go all the way in, nice and simple, especially with carrots. Carrots at taproot, so you want to make sure you get any rocks or stones out of your soil, and make sure that the soil's a nice fertile compost. Again, I use a composted leaf mulch amended with topsoil. And you also want to keep your carrots poor. You don't want to fertilize your soils. If you add too much nitrogen, all you're going to get is carrot tops and greens, and with very little root or carrot. And so you really want to keep the soil poor. That way the carrot is reaching for nutrients, searching the nutrients out for itself, hopefully producing a better, longer carrot. And so work your soil through with your fork real good. And you know, one direction, and then you can also turn your fork, and I would go the other direction, rocking it back and forth. Again, loosening your soil, but you want nice deep penetration for these carrots. Now again, if you have like a poorer soil, then use a variety that's not so long. You know, they're more of a stubby carrot if your soil's not so loose. And so, and then what I'm going to just take is my garden weasel, my rotary cultivator again, and you've seen me use this in the past. And then just break up the clumps. You want to break up any clumps or get any rocks out of the garden. Again, the less obstructions in the soil, the better. And so you'll want to just work it back and forth like this, and then I'm going to finally rake it with the top of the rake, and then we're going to plant some seeds. So I would just take your garden rake and just rake back and forth nice and gently once you have it all, the soil all forked out. Create a nice level surface on the top, like so. Even firm it up a little bit with your rake. It levels it off nice. And then once you get the top nice, and then we're going to start to plant the seeds in the soil. So once you have your soil nice and leveled off, again, I use this stick here. It's about 6 feet long, 3/4 by 3/4 inch. You could use a pole or anything basically straight. Work it back in your soil to get a nice row. Now I came in from the edge of my raised bed. My raised bed here is 4 foot by 8 foot. So I came in about 8 inches, and then I went another 12 inches. I didn't even measure it, I just eyeballed it. You certainly could get your measuring tape out if you want. Being in the contracting business for 40 years, I kind of get an idea about how long a foot is. And so anyhow, work it back and forth. And by the way, seed germination for these carrots are going to take a couple weeks too, and so you need to be patient with that. Again, I'm going to be covering the seeds once they're in the soil with the row cover, and then gently water them in and keep them moist during the germination period. But anyhow, one trick that I use, or I've learned over the years, is I have in this container here some soilless seed growing medium. And what I'm going to do to really help these seeds is you want these seeds to have really good contact in the soil. And so what I'm going to do is, I created my row where my seeds are going to be planted. And then I'm just going to take some of this soil medium and lay it right in my row. And this is a nice fine soil medium for your seeds. It creates a nice plush mattress. And I also, plant my seeds, or my whole garden for that matter, in composted leaf mulch. So it's basically certified weed free. And so, especially with carrots, you don't want to be weeding all the time. And so with using my compost the way I do, I have very, very minimal weeding. That's the last thing I really want to be doing, is doing a lot of weeding in my garden. So take your soil mixture, soilless mixture, growing medium, and just gently lay it there. And I'm actually going to just take my rod again and just pat it down ever so slightly into the new growing medium I just installed. And then what I'm going to do is lay my seeds in there. So once you open your pack, you want to create a nice V there, and just gently work down your row, tapping it. It may take a while to get the right level and the right tapping speed, and just let them gently fall out of the pack into the soil. Again, I always overseed a little bit, just in case they don't all germinate. And so you know, put your seed about an inch apart. If they have a little bit more, all you just need to do later on is just thin them out. And so anyhow, once your seeds are in it, laying on top of the soil medium there, you just gently, I'm just going to take some with my hand and just gently cover your new seeds with another layer of soil, your growing medium here for seeds. And it's going to create a nice, like a nice plush top mattress here for your seeds to grow in. And they'll have good contact in your soil. And then I'll just take my hand and just gently tap them down. And then, you know, another good thing about putting row covers is once you put the row cover on, then when you go to water, it won't disturb the seeds at all. Or if you get heavy rains, you know, it's going to be a nice covering for the seeds. You know, keep the animals and critters out of your garden. Once these start coming up too, I'm going to put a low tunnel hoop house over my carrots and, you know, and all my other greens once they start growing a little bit more, 6 inches or more. So anyhow, now that you have your row of seeds in, I'm going to be putting my row cover over it. And, you know, another nice thing, if you've seen my earlier videos, is I made these labels for your vegetables, and I was really happy with the way they turned out. And I'm also going to date that when I planted these seeds. And so let me grab the row cover here, and then we'll lay it over the vegetables here. And then also you want to mark your rows. You know, if you get any kind of stick, or I showed you earlier, you could use a plastic fork that you would use in your kitchen. They work great for marking your ends, or paint sticks, or stirrers, or, you know, anything it takes, you know, rock on the end. But I have these fiberglass rods that I'll use in a lot of my vegetables. And so let's just take the row cover here. Let me just install this one row marker there on the end. And these are, this is row covers made out of spun bonded polyester. And it's a really great, you know, it's well worth the time up front to do this type of preparation for your seed bed. And even again to grow all your vegetables under the row covers. You know, I used to grow broccoli years ago, and I didn't have it under row covers, and you get all the worms in the broccoli, you know, and that's really, really gross. But with, you know, you spend a little bit of time and money up front building and creating these low tunnel hoop houses, and, you know, I'm amazed how much better the greens do under them, and the carrots, and, you know, keeps the pests and the bugs off them, and you really you can enjoy your gardening because you're not weeding all the time, and you're not worrying about pests and bugs and so on. And so let me get the watering can here, and we're going to water this row in real nice. I love this watering can. I just got it recently. I've had the old plastic ones over the years, and so I just recently got this one. I wanted to actually do a video on this because I really enjoy it. It was under $20, and it just puts out a really nice flow of water. It seems to be well balanced, and it holds 2 gallons of water. So anyhow, your seed bed now is already prepared. You got your row cover on. Again, it's going to take a good couple weeks for them to germinate, and you just want to keep an eye on the seeds, make sure they don't dry out, otherwise they won't germinate for you. So that's something I can't stress enough, is to make sure your seeds stay watered. So anyhow, I just want to thank you for joining me today. It's a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania, and I hope you have a great day too. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the section below. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.